What you saw there before this was a couple seconds of my table spread, and I might be doing that more often before I, do these. Actually, just give you a little bit of an indicator, what I got on display those days, and it might be a little more helpful when I'm describing things. Okay, so I'm not sure what I titled this, but there's one thing I remember from this particular flea marketing day, and that was the extreme unyielding cold. This was the coldest day I had ever flea marketed, and probably if I would have checked the weather before I left, which is a key mistake that I made, I would not have done this again. Now, when it comes to the cold, I'm honestly kind of a wuss when it comes to the cold, especially in the morning. Maybe like night cold after I've been up for a while. Maybe I can like handle night cold, but there's something within the combination of not getting a whole lot of sleep. Sometimes, before I have to get up early, I'm kind of a night owl. I don't get a lot of sleep, and then I might try to make that time back a little later the next night. But there's something about the combination of getting up early, skipping breakfast, not getting a lot of sleep, and being extremely cold. That's not a good thing. And what I recall is going into my car and pulling the car up near the table, going into the car several times, starting the car to try to warm up my hands, and then, turning the car off to get out when someone stops by the table. Someone stops by a table only to really not be interested and not buy anything. I wish I could remember some of the sales from this day. I think I might have sold maybe one game, possibly cut some magazines. I mean, it was not a bad day sales wise as far as like amount. I just can't remember what I sold. I guess just like a lot of little trinkets, things of that nature. I want to talk about surviving flea marketing in the cold. Well, make sure you have a jacket that is very, very, very warm. A jacket that has very warm, fuzzy pockets to warm up your hands. Because, like I said, what's going to happen is things seem colder earliest in the morning, and when you're having to count money and people hand you money and you're trying to get change for them and your hands stiffen up, that's an issue. Plus, if it's windy cold, then you have the added bonus of having the wind. And this was that day. Every single thing, like I said, it was cold, it was windy, and when I say it was windy, I mean like gale force fucking winds. I wondered why I got a good table. I got a pretty good table on this day. Sometimes you actually will wind up getting a table at a flea market. Here's a positive to flea marketing in the extreme cold and wind. Not a lot of people will go out, not a lot of vendors. So you might actually get really lucky and be one of the only people selling. And then it's almost like, well, shit, everyone that comes to the flea market has to go through me if you're on a certain line. Now, there was times where I went to the car, like I said, to warm up a little bit, to just survive. But one technique I actually employed was to set my stool in the sun. Because even though it was cold and windy, the thing is the sun is still going to warm you a bit. Now, I'm trying to get the full flea market experience, and I stayed longer than I probably should have. Just because I want to actually report to you guys what it's like. Well, it's miserable. Staying at the flea market longer than you should is absolutely miserable, even on like a nice sunny day, because you're just wasting your time. After a lot of the crowds have left, you might get a couple stragglers, and maybe there's something to be said about maybe the story of the rare straggler that's just looking around for something to buy, and he winds up spending a lot of money at your table. Well, I mean, those unicorns it's really not worth it. It isn't. Because you got to think about it. You're wasting your precious time there. And there's no guarantee of any sales. No guarantee of any sales, most specifically towards the end of the day where everyone is left. And also one reason you don't want to stay longer than you need to at a flea market is once more and more vendors leave, you actually become open to possible theft. Or maybe like somebody comes to pretend like they're going to buy something, then maybe one of their buddies might be on the other side and filling their pockets with things, They might feel like they can probably get away with and do that if there's not a lot of other vendors around. And most of these places, they don't have any like security, I mean, most of these places are kind of like a free-for-all that I found. Yeah. I mean, it might be different in some other places. A very, very cold, miserable day, but I learned valuable lessons. Most notably, don't go to the flea market and sell on cold, windy, especially windy. I mean, just in general, you don't want to go to the flea market and sell on incredibly windy days unless you just have nothing light to sell. You have a tablecloth, good luck with that. The wind will pick up the tablecloth and pull everything off with it. If you have glass, really delicate glassware, good luck with that. You'll have a lot of broken glass when the wind gets a hold of it.